Is it on?
Ready? Okay. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings, adequate notification of this meeting has been provided by advertising in the record and posting notice in the Board of Education Administration Building and filing notice with the city clerk. I hereby call to order the regular public meeting Monday, July 25th, 2022 in the Nellie K. Parker School Auditorium at 6:15 p.m.
16.
6:16 p.m. Ms. Singh, will you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Mendezu is absent. Mr. Carroll,
Present.
Mr. Coleman,
Present.
Mr. Goodman,
Present.
Ms. Maury, absent. Maybe, I believe, yeah. Mr. Oates,
Present.
Mr. Powell, not here either. Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
Ms. Somerville,
Present.
Mr. Scott James Vickery.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education determines it necessary to meet in executive session on Monday, July 25th, 2022 to discuss legal, personnel, student-related matters, HIV reports, negotiations, and other confidential matters, and be it further resolved that these matters will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I have a motion, please? I move. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And there are any noes? And there are none. It is 6:18. And we will move upstairs.
Testing, testing.
All right, welcome. We're back from executive session. We don't have any presentations, so we go straight to the superintendent's report. Well, as soon as Mr. Oates wanders down. Yeah, we do a roll call. Thank you.
Mr. Bendezu is absent. Mr. Carroll,
Here.
Mr. Coleman,
Present.
Mr. Goodman,
Here.
Ms. Maury,
Present.
Mr. Oates,
Present.
Mr. Powell,
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
Ms. Somerville,
Here.
Mr. James Vickery.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. Superintendent's report, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I regret to inform you of the passing of two former educators from Hackensack Public Schools this month. They are Fred Serbo and Art de Blasio. Mr. Serbo taught at Hackensack Middle School and Hackensack High School and was a longtime substitute for the district for many, many years after his retirement. Mr. de Blasio also taught at Hackensack Middle School for many years. Our thoughts and prayers are with their respective family and friends during this very difficult time. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I hope you are all finding ways to stay cool this summer. Apparently, coming to this board meeting here was not one of them. I'm happy to report that our summer programs, which include extended school year for our special needs population at ECDC and Hackensack Middle School, our credit recovery program at the high school, and the Common Academy Summit Enrichment Program at Hackensack Middle School are all going well. It's great to see our scholars in school engaging in meaningful activities during the summer that will help them to succeed in the upcoming school year. On tonight's agenda, the Board of Education will be approving the district goals and board goals for the 2022-2023 school year. These goals continue to be aligned to the goals and outcomes developed by our school community during the strategic planning initiative. I'm pleased to say that we are making progress in those goal areas and look forward to continued progress in the days to come. Please feel free to review the goals at your convenience. Finally, our custodial and maintenance personnel are hard at work getting our schools ready for the first day of school. There is much work to do, but I am confident that we will be ready. Also, there are many school facility and capital improvement projects happening throughout the district as we continually renew our commitment to address our facilities' short-term and long-term needs and provide our school community with much improved school experience. A few examples of our projects include a new digital message board and fence at the Hackensack Middle School. Solar panels are beginning to be installed at the various locations throughout the district. Actually, they were up on the roof this morning here in this very building. Teacher parking lots are going to be paved at Hackensack High School. Progress continues to be made at the Hackensack High School's main entrance and the elevator projects at Jackson Avenue School and Fairmont School. And new LED lighting has been installed throughout the district for improved lighting for our scholars, with many more things to come. It's an exciting time to be at Hackensack Public Schools. Now on to the enrollment report. There are currently 5,005 students enrolled in Hackensack Public Schools. We're down significantly. And there were 6 HIV investigations completed since the last board meeting. That concludes my report. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
All right. So now we're to our public comments. We're to our public comments portion of the evening for our folks here in the audience and those who are online. So remember to state your name and your municipality and any group that we might need to know that you are affiliated. Please direct your remarks to me, and I will do my very, very best to answer those remarks at the end of during board comments, or possibly, I'll get them answered for the end of the night. So we are ready. Those of you in the room that might have a comment, calm down. Going for a rep. Miss Story, don't run down here. Slow down. All right. Is there anybody on line?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Anthony Ziza, Maple Hill Drive, Hackensack. I'm just, first of all, I hope everyone is staying cool. I know that the heat wave's been really rough for everyone, so I hope everyone both in the community and there has been able to keep cool. I'm just calling in, I guess, to ask that the board try to make sure that for staff interested in participating in the AP reading this year, that there are substitutes available come June. Last year, obviously, with some of the trouble getting subs, staff were not able to attend the AP reading. And I think it's really, really valuable professional development for any AP teacher to be able to participate. I've had the privilege of participating in the AP reading for the past couple of years. Last year, I was a distributed reader, which means I did it at home, but AP is moving back to in person. And sort of the value of the reading, the value of being able to actually, as an AP teacher, be one of the people that's scoring these tests, one of the people that's sort of seeing the commonalities and actually having that experience of participating in what ultimately becomes the student's AP score. Quite frankly, it's some of the most valuable professional development I've ever, been able to partake in my teaching career. And so I think it's really, really important that next year we really have the availability of the subs so that the district can send teachers to the AP reading so that they can partake in that really, amazing opportunity. As I said last year, I understand there were some sub, issues. It was, right back from COVID and obviously, the challenges of last year, hopefully, knock wood, won't be replicated this year. But I will say, I think that sort of the success of our AP program, part of it does lie with the fact that we've been able to have staff go to those readings, plus it's, I think, really great for the district to be able to say, not simply do we have a phenomenal program, the staff that teach that program are the people that have been selected to, be the ones who will ultimately read the essays and the open-ended responses and whatever that have been created. Okay, so thank you very much, and hopefully everyone has a great summer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Ziza. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask Mr. Sanchez if he could for somebody to say the most valuable training they've ever had. I want us to see how we're going to make sure that we can have it. That they can go.
Absolutely. So, of course, we're committed to, hiring substitute teachers as we are every year. As Mr. Ziza, correctly pointed out, there were some challenges last year, even with the district hired subs that we increased the rate and everything else, due to quarantining and pandemic related issues. Subs at the end of the year definitely were a challenge. We expect this year to be a lot better, but I agree wholeheartedly with him that, our teachers being provided with substitutes so they're enabled and empowered to attend professional development that's going to benefit our students is definitely something that we're committed to.
So that's the commitment. You're committed to that. So that's good. Thanks. And this is not our normal practice. We have very low attendance, so that's why I'm trying to move through our night. Next, please.
Hi, good evening. This is Kasim Gaines, Hackensack High School, Hackensack resident. I just wanted to say hello to everyone and especially to Miss Story in the audience. Sorry that I've missed you today. Just a couple of quick things. The first is I just wanted to commend Mr. Sanchez, I assume, and the central office staff for sending out those 2 emails highlighting the new middle school administration and some of the new district administration. I thought that was a really great introduction, not only to the school community or the community at large, but also the staff, frankly, who don't always have an opportunity to get that level of detail about the new hires or people that are in new positions. So I wanted to thank Mr. Sanchez for that. I did want to ask a question about some specific items on the agenda, and I'm hoping that there can be some clarity on it prior to, whether it's right now or just prior to the vote. One is on D6, which lists some pre-referendum and post-referendum services by DMR architects. I was just wondering what that is. Is there a project afoot that the public isn't aware of or that I just missed, or is this just in case? But it seems like there's quite a bit of money that's being earmarked for something that it was just off my radar. So I was curious what this pre-referendum and post-referendum service is. That's number one. Number two is D10, which says that the board is approving the appointment of a new law firm that is going to serve as special counsel at a rate of $170 per attorney and $90 per hour per paralegal. And I'm just curious if that is a replacement of Florio, or if that is additional service. And if that is additional service, is that coming at an additional cost to the district and taxpayers? And frankly, I guess, what is our return on investment on that additional legal service? What is not being provided by the current legal service that we need additional legal counsel, if that is in fact additional? So I would love clarity on that. And then just one final point on policies. It occurred to me that we approve all of these new policies almost every meeting, but some of these policies impact students, some of them impact staff, and there isn't really communication about when these policies are revised to the people who are impacted by it. So I'm just wondering if there can be some sort of formal way, even if it's an email blast or something, just informing people that there are policies that have changed that impact either their students and families and or the staff, just so that we have everyone in compliance and we can get the maximum out of our staff and students. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Gaines. How do you, okay, that's all. So let's start with the policy, and I couldn't quite completely hear all of that. So would you answer that one?
Sure. Yes, so regarding the new communication about any new policies that exist, there's a couple of levels. What I'll say is obviously at every board meeting where we do adopt policies, anybody's able to see the policies that are passed, and all of our policies are updated on our website. At our monthly meetings with principals, we review the policies, but I do understand the point where perhaps staff isn't aware of the policies. So I'll speak to my administrator that's in charge of our policies, and perhaps once these meetings pass, maybe she could send out a communication email blast out to our staff so that staff is aware of our new district policies. So that's easy enough.
So it sounds like a process.
It's a process, but it's not a difficult process. I mean, obviously, it would be after a board meeting. Hey, these are the new policies. They're online. Feel free to review them, like a list, whatever.
Okay,
Simple enough.
perfect. And then, okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do them, and then I'll go back. All right, okay, so we're not there? They left, okay. And then that's everybody? Awesome. So, excuse me, I'll go ahead and address, do you want to address the other two questions?
Well, that's one of them you definitely should,
Right.
running special counsel. I mean, the
Right.
referendum piece, and I could speak a little bit, you could speak a little bit, you tell me, what do you prefer?
So why don't we handle D6 if you want to go? first,
Sure.
And then I can,
Yeah, so there is a resolution item on, well, we already have our district architect appointed, but appointed to for a special project for a referendum. I think we all know that our early childhood, our ECDC building is a building that we rent. So in the near future, we are going to be looking at, replacement for that building. And that's a referendum that, there's going to be a lot of information in days to come as to what we're going to be looking to do. But we do want to engage their expertise to help us through this process. There's a lot that has to do with it, from land acquisition to DOE approvals, not to mention the whole process, and we know how involved the referendum can be. So the skinny of it is that there'll be more information to come at a later date. Again, we won't get into too much detail about land acquisition because, well, I'll give you an example, right? We all know the Walt Disney World story. He flew over Orlando and was looking to acquire land. And basically, he started buying land up. And as soon as people found out who it was, all of a sudden the prices of land skyrocketed. So we're not going to tell anybody what properties we're looking at. We're going to tell you that within the city limits, we're going to be looking to build a new building, and we'll leave it at that for now.
right, and you'll see later on the agenda that we have some board goals, and one of those is is, so for a long time, we have had you, the community, who has come out and said, we don't want to pay this high rent at this building that doesn't meet the needs of our children. And so that is one of our commitments, is to figure that out. And that is one of our board goals for this year. Not saying that it will be finished this year, but that is going to be an active part that we work on this year. And so you will see that in the board goals. So that is, in order for us to begin that, we have to start now to get services from those certain pieces for the timeline to even begin things. So that's what that's about. So the legal counsel piece. So the amount of the work is the amount of the work. It will be the same amount of work. It will just be divided between these two firms. We will have one, Mr. Florio will do a certain piece of the work, and then the firm that's listed in on the agenda, D10, will handle the other piece, but the amount of the work is the same. Our goal is to be able to parse it out and do our best to keep our bills as low as we can. That is no reflection on Florio Perucci. The amount of work is the amount of work. Our district is a big district. We tend to produce a lot of work, but we are going to parse it out a little differently. All right. So that is the end of public comments. So now be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education approves the regular meeting minutes and closed session minutes for June 20th, 2022, and board retreat minutes for July 11th, 2022 as submitted. Can I have a motion?
Okay.
Mr.
And I'll second it.
Powell, and then a second from Mr. Goodman. Thank you. And a roll call, please. Actually, that can be, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, noes, and there's none. Thank you. All right, personnel.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the board's approval, I'll make a motion to take action on personnel matters 8.1 and A through GG, subsection A through GG.
The GG changing from 28 per hour to $32 per hour.
So there's a correction on GG. It is moving from $28
32.
To 32.
to $32 an hour.
I'll amend that motion with the correction.
Okay, amended motion. Thank you. Mr. Coleman made the motion. Can I have a second, please? Mr. Oates, sorry, I thought it was first. Roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Ms. Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Oates,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. James Vickery.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Moving on to policy, trustee Somerville.
Hi, good afternoon. Good evening, sorry. So be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, approve the first read of the following policies and regulations. Policy and Regulation 0143-2. Policies 2415.50 through 55 and Regulation 5530. So we have a total of 8 new policies. On the board, we have a total of 7 revised policies, 1 abolished policies. So it is a lot. I can read off each of them, or Mr. Sanchez, you can just have Ms. Marks send out a notification. It's up to you.
I could definitely have Ms. Marks send out notifications. It's up to you if you'd like to read through the policies. I mean, for the most part, we don't necessarily read every single agenda item. People can review it the same way they review the rest of the agenda.
And next part is B, so that is on the policy. We'll have Ms. Mark send out a notification to all of the staff in reference to the new revised and abolished policies that we have for this meeting. It will be a lot easier, and then this way, as discussed before, they can click on the hyperlink and take a look at the policy themselves in detail instead of me just reading the titles. And then be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education is no other new policies, or there's no second reading of any new policies. There is no second reading of any policies for this meeting.
All right, thank you. So Ms. Somerville made a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Coleman, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Ms. Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Oates,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to curriculum, trustee Mari.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to bring forward C1 through C26. Before I do, I'd like to highlight a few things on the agenda. C1, it's teachers that are going to a conference, they'll be reimbursed. They are going to the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and it will be in Los Angeles. And this will be a turnkey learning event. C6, it's the district equity team, which includes teachers and administrators. A consultant will work on facilitation skills. C7 is continuing with Linkit, which is our data warehouse system. That's where we house all of our data for our students in terms of their assessments and like the Start Strong program, the Start Strong scores, excuse me. C13, we are using Gravity Goldberg for our readers workshop for grades 5 through 6 and for writing. C17, we are doing workshops for our bilingual ESL students and for their families. C20 is our district goals for the superintendent. And C21 is our board goals, which I'll quickly read here. So for C21, our board goal for the 2022-2023 school year, number 1, develop plans to present a referendum to fund the Early Childhood Center and other potential facilities projects. Number 2, work with the administration to conduct a comprehensive safety and security assessment. 3, explore the realignment of committees to correspond to board responsibilities. And that is all.
Thank you. So Ms. Mari made the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
I'm not sure. Oh, Mr. Carroll, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Ms. Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Oates,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mari. That was a lot
I know.
I have to deal with. Mr. Goodman, our finance and budget.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for coming out tonight. The Finance Committee met last week, and we have items B1 through the 13. And I'd like to highlight a few of the items. As Cassine Gaines already brought up, there is item D6, which is important for us to get ready for looking for a location for a new school for the referendum. Item D8 is to purchase interactive flat panels for the classrooms. This is a really good deal. We're getting 250 of these flat panels at approximately 3,000 each. State of the art, it's what our classrooms need. Also D10, as Cassine Gaines questioned when he called in, it's important for us to bring in special counsel to work alongside of Mr. Taylor. And then those are the three items that I wanted to highlight.
Thank you for that motion. And then, so can I have a second? Mr. Rodriguez, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Miss Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Oates.
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
No to detail, yes, no.
no to D10. Okay, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Somerville,
So for D10, I abstain. I don't have any problem with the rest.
so you're not no, you're abstaining.
I abstain.
Okay. Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
To buildings and grounds, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, thanks, Mr. President. So I'd like to bring forth items E1 through E10. Most of the items in building the grounds are just to add to facility upgrades that are already going on. The main one that I want to highlight that is new is E2, which is the paving of the Hackensack High School East Wing faculty parking lot and the West Wing faculty parking lot. So items E1 through E10.
Great. And we have a second by Mr. Oates. Can a roll call, please?
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Miss Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Oates,
Yes.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Miss Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
Great, thank you. So we don't have on the agenda old or new business, but I do want to ask if there is any old business that we need to cover. Moving on to new business. Does anybody have any new business? Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible just to ask you a quick question?
Sure.
At the last meeting, there were some comments from the members of the public, right? So do we follow up on those comments? For the last couple of meetings, I haven't heard any response to the things that were asked. So can we make it a point to add, if we capture them in the notes or from audio, to go back and answer those questions from the public as part of old business?
Mr. Taylor, is that,
As long as
I don't, yeah,
the answers to the question are not confidential or not privileged, covered by contract negotiations, et cetera, they can be responded to by the board. And whether it be an old business or new business, depending what the question is about. But that's not a problem.
okay.
All right. So I mean, I'm not going to bring it forward now, right? I don't want to put it as a surprise to anybody. Everybody needs time to be able to look over those questions and make sure that we're all in agreement to what the answer is. But like Mr. Gaines asked, you answered them, tonight, but there's sometimes when there's questions that are posed to us, and then I don't hear a follow-up at the next meeting, right? So I would presume those would come under old business and we'd be able to answer those questions.
Yes, in general, I do my very best to answer the questions that night. So if there's some that I've missed, then yeah, we can do it in the old or new business.
Thank you.
Whichever. So in new business, so one thing that has been coming up and is from the members of the public, from students, and from our diversity and inclusion committee is the concept / the wanting to do a land acknowledgement. And so I wanted to bring that up to the board tonight. A land acknowledgement for those. So I want to make sure that everyone A, understands what a land acknowledgement is, and B, in how we would move forward with the idea. So the idea would be that we would do a land acknowledgement on the board during the board meeting of the September, so the starting of each school year. And so what it is it's an opportunity to honor the land we are on and its original inhabitants. And So a lot of us, or some of us may have encountered these in different meetings or events that we've gone to in different places. And sometimes you'll go into a certain building or place and they have a visible acknowledgement that's in words written for people to see. But it can be a simple statement or an actual ceremony, and it's not a new practice. It's happened, literally dating back centuries for Native American communities and nations. And for non-Indigenous communities, land acknowledgement is a way of showing respect and honoring the Indigenous peoples of the land on which we work and live. As one school district put it, acknowledgement is a simple way of resisting the erasure of Indigenous histories and working towards honoring and embodying the truth. This is an important step in countering the harmful narratives of the doctrine of discovery and colonialism. By itself, it isn't sufficient, but coupled with meaningful opportunities for our students to engage in learning the tradition and customs of Indigenous people and honoring their history, we can go a long way to creating a more culturally competent learning community with a deeper understanding of the roots of racism and oppression and ways to counteract them. And so what I'm asking is for us to, so what it is a ceremony where we would, and it's not long. It is where we would, so the land that we are on is the Munsee Lenape peoples, and we would invite a community member from that group, and they would come and lead us in that ceremony, that acknowledgement of the land that we're on. And then we would hope that we would follow that up in our schools with learning and teaching our students about the importance of land acknowledgement. And so I'm asking that, and I think you've heard Mr. Tony Jackson bring it up, that we would like to put it in, make it an addendum to our anti-racism resolution that we brought forward a while back, and however the wording will be, which they'll work on, but it's adding it that it would be during the opening board meeting to the school year. Any discussion around that? Any comments, questions? I think it's a great idea.
I'm all for educating the kids on where we're from, where they are, where they're from. I think it's a great idea.
Great idea. All right, so the next steps that we will work towards is, and of course, it will be in the hands of Mr. Sanchez and I guess Ms. Parchment and that committee and
District Equity Team.
The district equity team. Thank you. I couldn't come up with the name in my head, but they will work with the representative from that First Nations people, that group, and they will work on how we would formulate that, because what we also don't want to do is create anything that is absolutely not in complete collaboration with that community. And so they'll move forward with that.
Is this a pre-existing ceremony that they could facilitate?
Oh, yeah. And they are absolutely used to doing them. And they, yes, so it's something, and they can be very elaborate too, from exchange of gifts to sage and all kind of things to more of some statements that we make together. I mean, there are different types of ceremonies, but that would be all written based in our, in with that representative. I think that the representative that we would be working with is Miss Oleana Whispering Dove.
I don't know the name, but I do know that the District Equity Team has some contacts.
I think that's who it is. And so we'll move forward unless anybody has a disagreement with moving forward. Any no's to that?
So I do have a question. So, because obviously I'm going to be working with my teams to, put this together. So are we looking to do land acknowledgement at board meetings, land acknowledgement at each individual school? Both, one, separate? I mean,
Okay,
again,
so-
just so I know how to, move forward.
So, I mean, I think it's important to, well, I think twofold. I think one is important to be able to engage our community members in it as well. So at an opening board meeting, but I think beyond that, I think that's up to, that's up to you and the team to decide. I mean, I think any way we can engage our kids is awesome. But
I think, well, personally speaking, I think at this clearly board meeting, that's important for the community at large. But I think at the school level, if you want students to learn about why we do and what we do, perhaps there should be a ceremony at each school.
yeah,
And we'll have to figure that and how, but logistically, it's still warm until, early November, so we could figure it out. But
right. I mean, yeah, I mean, and they don't necessarily have to be all happen in September, right? I mean, I think to me, the important part is opening the school year, quote unquote, in September with the board meeting and having it with the community. But at the school level, I think you could possibly stagger it out, but your team can figure all that out.
sure. And actually, another thing that I've been personally thinking about is, a couple of months back, well, I guess 1 month back, so June is Pride Month, and I attended a ceremony where the city raised the Pride flag. I'd actually want to do that at the board office in September. Now, it's something that I really haven't shared, but it's something that I'd like to do. Again, while we understand that June is Pride Month, our thing is just like I say for any of the holidays and different things that we recognize. It's not just about that 1 month or that specific day. It's about acknowledging and making people feel like they belong all year long. So it doesn't matter to me that it's September. I just think it's the right thing to do for our school community, our students that may be, or students or staff that may be members of, that group. I think it's important that everybody feels that they belong. And I think that's one sign that we can do for our district to show that we're welcoming to all.
I think that's a phenomenal idea, especially as people are, especially new students.
Lydia, I got to buy a flag.
Oh, yeah.
I have to buy a flag.
But I mean, I think from the perspective of a student, what better way to walk onto any campus or whatever and see a welcoming flag. I think that's a great idea. All right. All right, so let's move on to board comments. Mr. Goodman? I got the look from Ms. Marty when I looked that way, so I'm gonna start, I'm avoiding that.
I don't really have many comments at this point. It's summer months. The board continues to do its work, which is really important. And I wish everyone try to stay cool. I think the heat wave is going to last for a while. And I hope a lot of people weren't affected by the water issue last night. I know we had no water for a few hours. It was in the middle of the night, no big deal. So I wish everyone well until our next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carroll?
Yes, I'd like to send thoughts and prayers again to the De Blasio and Serbo families. Mr. Serbo was a teacher of mine, as well as a coach, basketball coach, freshman year. I learned a lot from him on and off the court, life lessons, and how to be a student athlete. And again, have a safe and healthy summer and stay cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Real quick, nothing crazy. Back up with Trustee Carroll, Mr. Serbo and Mr. de Blasio, our thoughts and prayers go out to their families. They really made an impact on a lot of people. Like I didn't grow up here, I didn't go to school here, but talking with people and the guys that I work with at the firehouse that had them in class, they really made an impact. And just know that we condolences to their families. Shout out to the tech guys. Listen, man. And Mr. Ziza and Mr. Gaines spoke. It was very clear up here, right, guys? They were like crystal clear, like they were sitting in the front row. Good job, guys. That was awesome. Real quick, that's all I got. Just a shout out to the community relations people. We didn't meet this past month, but again, we're committed to closing the communication gap between schools, parents, the administration, bringing everybody in together. It's the only way we're gonna get moving together is if we're all on the same page and there is no child left behind. If we're not going to leave any child left behind, we can't leave any parent left behind. We all got to be in step, lockstep with each school throughout the whole district. 5,005 students. Again, those are our bosses, man. This board, I think, 9 specially talented individuals. We work as a team. We're going to get this thing moving in the right direction. Good job, guys. It's hot. Stay hydrated, stay cool, check your relatives, check your neighbors, check your pets, make sure they got water. Everybody have a great summer. Go Comets.
Thank you, Mr. Oates, Mr. Coleman.
I have no comment.
Thank you. Mr. Powell?
Yeah, thank you. Tech guys, custodians, administrative staff, Mr. Sanchez, Sunday, to all the staff that's here today. You come, be diligent, you're here, supporting us, keeping us on our toes, and us do the right thing. Thank you for coming. Sweatker, you're the only person out here tonight. So I commend you for coming. And it's holidays, a lot of people are home, but you're steadfast. To our board attorney, thank you for what you do. Thank you, Ms. Singh. And my condolences to your family in the passing of your loved ones. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you. It's never easy losing a loved one. Story. I look forward to your gifts. I take them to work and I munch them at night overnight. I don't know how good that is, but thank you. We also look forward to having you here. And you've been coming to our meetings for a long time. And I just want to commend you for coming out and support us and for what you do. That's pretty much it. It's hot out there. Like Mikey said, just the oaths. Stay cool. And the water break last night, yes, it did impact us at the hospital. We couldn't flush, we couldn't use any water last night. We're using bottled waters. Yeah, so it was pretty tough last night. Yeah. So drinking it, we were washing hands. Yeah, yes, it was kind of crazy last time. But that's it. With all the board members again, thank you. Like Mikey said, in a special group. We stay together, family the priest together stays together. And that's it. Just continue to do what we do and enjoy your summer. Be safe. COVID is still out there. It may not impact you, but it's still impacting people. And monkeypox is on the horizon. I hope it doesn't become a pandemic or stays an endemic. Let's pray about it. But it's one thing after the other. But we'll get to it. And I just pray that we all stay safe. Thank you. Get home safe.
Thank you. Ms. Somerville?
I don't know why I get to follow Darth Vader over here, right? With the monkeypox and COVID.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Trustee Powell.
And he's wearing all black tonight.
I mean, on a more serious note, Mr. Serbo, Mr. de Blasio families, our condolences. Mr. de Blasio was actually my homeroom teacher when I attended Hackensack High School. So again, he was a wonderful individual. Both of them were really good people, and I'm sorry for their family's loss. For those in attendance in the audience today, the few of you, I can't believe you guys came out in this heat, but hang in there. We're going to finish on time so you guys can go home before midnight, right? That's our goal today. Ms. Maury went over the board goals as part of today's meeting. I mean, there's a really good team here. We look forward to working on that full transparency once we have a timeline and an execution process developed. We'll be more than happy to share it with you guys. So I think myself and Trustee Vickery will be working on those. So there's more to come on that. And again, just want to say to everyone, I mean, enjoy the rest of your summer. It's going quickly, as hot as it is. Hopefully you guys are getting in some quiet time, enjoying yourselves, and, you know, take care, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you, Ms. Morrissey. I said you to the.
That's okay. First and foremost, I just wanted to give my condolences to the Blasio family and the Serbo family. Mr. Serbo was my teacher, especially during 9/11. I was actually in his classroom when it happened. And I'll never forget his comment when he said to the entire class, he said, folks, this is history in the making. This will be in textbooks. And every time I think about it, us just being, you know, I mean, we all know, we all probably vividly remember where we were that day. And I forgot the name of the class, but, you know, we all had the TV on, we were watching, and it was just very impactful. You know, he was a great man. On the lighter side, thank you, Mr. Sanchez, for your report. It's always nice to hear that the improvements that are going on, things that we don't see on a day-to-day basis. And when you report them, I can visualize as to what's going on. So it's nice to hear that our summer programs are going well and the building improvements are being worked on, and that they're looking good and they're getting ready for our students in September. So that's exciting news. And that's pretty much it. Everyone have a great summer and stay cool. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vickery. I'd like to also give my condolences to the de Blasio and Serbo family. Like Mr. Trustee Oates said, I didn't know them personally, but I knew so many people that were impacted by them. And I know it's a tough time for them. So again, my condolences go out to them. I'd like to thank the people in attendance, those that called in, always, you know, holding us accountable, which is important. There's a lot of, like Trustee Maury just said, there's a lot going on, even though the kids are off for the summer. There is a lot going on in the district. There's a lot of facility upgrades going on. I'm excited to see them progress. And there is so much more to come. We are working on a lot. And guys, they try to stay cool, enjoy your families. You know, the summer is flying by. We'll be back here again, having these buildings full pretty soon. So enjoy your time with the kids and the family, and stay safe out there, guys. Thank you.
All righty. So I was able to really, I didn't know either of those gentlemen either. And so I was able to feel like I got an understanding of who they were as teachers by, I did have people that wrote to me as the board president, like asking questions and talking about them and sharing their stories. But I also had, you know, kind of watching on Facebook and all that, the remarkable stories of these two humans. And so it was really powerful to see, and remembering the impact that our educators make. And then I think about people like Miss Story. There is literally not a time that multiple people do not mention her name from this dais. So I want you, Miss Story, to remember the impact that you make by coming to these meetings and how well respected you are. And I would like to say that I have the willpower that Mr. Powell does, but my candy will be gone by the time I get home. It's not going to last through the night. I'm thankful for the people who did call in tonight. Your questions, I'm always excited, especially to hear when there is training that teachers find valuable, because I'll tell you, teachers are the hardest critics when it comes to training, because they are trainers themselves. When it comes to, I mean, they are presenters, they are trainers, that's what they do for a living. And so when I say because I was a teacher for a long time, when we are faced to have to do that ourselves, we tend to be the hardest critics. And so hearing that must be some really powerful training. So I'm glad that that he called in about that, and and I'm hopeful that we can make that all work out. And then Mr. Gaines, again, he mentioned this story, but also I want to circle back to the legal counsel because I want to make sure that everyone understands that we are not doubling bills. We are not adding to our expenses of the district. That is not the intent here. The intention is to do our best to keep our cost as low as possible. And we will continually work at that effort, but it's the work is the work. Unfortunately, we are a kind of a high volume district. That's fair to say, Mr. Taylor, when it comes to legal work. And we are, we within the volume of work that we have, we do our best to keep the cost as low as possible. But, a lot of times the cost are the cost, but we are not adding additional expense is not the goal here or the anticipation at all. I want us to be clear on that. Stay safe, stay cool, and enjoy the rest of the summer because it will be fall before we know it. And we will be wrapping up in blankets and eating some soup. So
President James Vickery, I'm sorry, may I interrupt before you close the meeting? I was just texted by Andrea Parchment. We also had another former staff member pass recently. It's a SEAL, Riley Pappas. I don't know her, but she worked at the middle school. So my thoughts and prayers are with her as well.
thank you.
The wake was tonight and I just found out.
So very recent. Okay, thank you. All right. So can we have a motion to adjourn? I could see the smile on Ms. Somerville's face, so we'll take her and then Mr. Powell is a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's go home.
Well, anyway,
You got your wish.
Love you.
Quick meeting.